Hey everyone, Token Dave over here, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. Well, first review of 2018, guys, and not only is it the first review, this is the first official start of my 2018 franchise review. So if you guys are curious and wondering what entails a franchise review for this channel, I left a link below that will take you to the video which I actually explained this sometime last year. But with all that said, what is the franchise that I am going to be focusing on for the rest of 2018? I am Iron Man! I am Iron Man! That's right, guys. 2018 is going to be the MCU franchise review year. Now, before I go any further, I just need to set some parameters. 1. I am only covering Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the MCU. Why? Well, we are still in the middle of Phase 3, and, next month, Black Panther is coming out, and another couple of months, we are going to get the highly anticipated Infinity War. And yes, there will be other videos related to both Black Panther and Infinity War. Not as much with Ant-Man and Wasp, which I'll explain a little bit later. Also, if you are on my playlist, you're going to see that there's one other video that's going to be at the top before this one. I'll explain that later if more people drop me comments wondering why did I do it this way. But I've stalled long enough. Let's go into the official start of the MCU, 2008's Iron Man. So, Tony Stark is a genius billionaire playboy whom is the owner of Stark Industries, a company that he inherited from his father. While conducting an overseas military weapons demonstration, Stark's military escort is attacked, and during the ambush, Tony is severely wounded, thus leading him to be kidnapped and taken prisoner in a remote cave somewhere in Afghanistan, where his captors are demanding that he builds them the very same weapon that he demonstrated to the United States military. Instead, Stark creates a weaponized armor that allows him to escape and return home. The whole ordeal was a revelation to Stark, where he realizes that he has highly profited from contributing to the chaos, causing chaos all over the world with his weapons. So, upon returning home, Stark has decided to basically pull Stark Industries out of the military weapons division and is searching for an industry or a division where his company could be a much more beneficial force of good for the world. Guys, it's Iron Man. It's been out for 10 years. People have talked about it ear to ear to ear. So what else can I add? I don't know, but I'm going to basically do my best to state some things. First and foremost, if you noticed, I was singing the song in the beginning, horribly, mind you, the 1990s cartoon song, particularly the second season, because I was one of those people that actually followed Iron Man for a long time. Hell, my mom was the one that actually got me into Iron Man because, she loved reading the Iron Man comics when she was a kid, and, my father actually, when he found out that I was reading Iron Man, he asked me particularly, yo, so what about that CEO guy, that black CEO guy? I was like, what's a CEO and what black CEO guy? He's like, yo, there's a brother in the Iron Man comics now, Sean. Pay closer attention. So yeah, I was actually Iron Man was one of the characters that I grew up with, and I really feel that with his recent popularity, I'm one of those people that can say, screw you guys. I liked him before he was mainstream. And that's the interesting part. Even though he had a couple of cartoons, he had a cartoon in the 60s and he had a cartoon in the 90s, he wasn't mainstream and not many people knew about him, which made him the safest bet for Marvel Studios to make this movie, which is very interesting. But that's enough for the backstory. Let's talk about the actual movie. Why do so many people love this movie? Well, for me, I'm going to try to view it as a movie as much in this review, not too much in the comic book side. That will be for another video. So, one of the things about this movie that makes it, it's fantastical, yet it's highly, highly grounded. This is the type of movie where the idea is kind of far-fetched and everything, and it could go into really buffoonish, like, you know, lower common denominator things. Here, we actually have not only a world that's grounded in realism, it actually basically the movie makes things plausible. We have a billionaire genius guy who basically has everything in the world to him and all, and he actually ends up being in the brunt end of basically all the chaos he's causing, and he learns his lesson. But not only does he learn his lesson, he realizes there's a cost to learning this lesson. Throughout the movie, Stark is actually like, you know, he's evolving as a character right before our eyes. He just sees things in black and white and realizes things are a little more complex, and he is trying to atone for his negligent, immature, and fleeting attitude towards things. Something that basically we actually saw in real time. You know, most people might not have picked up on it, but every scene, if you paid closer attention, you saw Robert Downey Jr.'s face actually change from someone who's just like whimsical and carefree to someone that really, really is understanding the depth of all of his actions, you know. Top it off, we have basically an interesting intrigue with basically a creative guy, right, who's profiting at an exceptional level, but you see everything behind. You see basically that, you know, the decisions he makes, how it affects his company and his relationships, how it also affects the economy, and how it affects our military as well. To top it off, basically, it also displays high patriotism, something that Stark was highly known for in his conception at the time. Okay, sorry. Went into the comic book details too much right there. Robert Downey Jr., this is the movie that everyone says that saved his career. I agree. And not only did it save his career, it actually allowed him to be seen as a credible actor more. This is a role that could have been easily not taken serious at all, and it could have just been like a throwawayable performance. But Robert Downey Jr. owns Tony Stark. Sorry to go into comic book territory again, but, you know, the attitude that you see that Robert Downey Jr. brings to Stark, that was all Robert Downey Jr. Stark's personality was a lot different in the comics. So what Robert Downey Jr. did is something that most people don't do. They improved on the character from their source material. Speaking about source material, you know, I, for a long time, was a fan of James Rhodes, a.k.a., you know, Rhodey, you know, a.k.a. War Machine, you know. While he's not War Machine in this movie, I give Terrence Howard tons of props because Terrence Howard actually encompassed Jimmy Rhodes, actually. And it is a shame that this is the only movie we've seen him as Rhodey because, wow, he just owned the part and he looked it, you know. Jeff Bridges is Obadiah Stane. This is where people tend to say that this is the starting point of everyone saying that MCU villains are really, really weak. But this was the first outing, and to be frank, you know, while he didn't appear to have as much depth as a character himself and from his comic book counterpart, I promise I will get to that in another video. But from what he was given, what he was supposed to do, Jeff Bridges did come off as an actual interesting villain. Yes, he wanted to kill Stark, but he didn't initially set out to kill him. He initially set out to take over the company. It's just the fact that if Stark ended up dying within the process, hey, he was cool with it. Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, I'm one of the people that really didn't enjoy her as Pepper Potts as much. Now, granted, I have not enjoyed a lot of Gwyneth Paltrow's roles as of late, so, you know, with her in this, it's just, you're there. Top it off, the action sequences here are magnificent. You know, we see Iron Man creating the suits and, you know, doing his flying, his repulsor rays, and using some state-of-the-art artillery all in a one-man machine, which is absolutely brilliant. Plus, we see the effect of, like, you know, what, even though we do something over here, our actions have a wider effect of this world. And that's something this movie tries to actually explain and display to us. There are a lot of Easter eggs within this movie, you know, that comic book fans notice. For example, you know, the biggest one is the 10 Rings, whom basically, if you guys are fans of the comic, or if you guys are paying close attention, you know who the 10 Rings symbolize. We also had a little interesting Easter egg of basically, if you notice, when Iron Man first made his first suit of armor, throwback to Tales of Suspense 39. Woo! And as he was changing his armor and everything, that was awesome. But I got a little beef. We saw the Model 1, the Mark 1, and we saw the Mark 2, the original suit and the silver suit. Why didn't we see the gold suit? What's up with that? Okay. Are there any problems with this movie? Yes, there are. I already mentioned one, the villain. I already mentioned another. Some of the supporting cast can be disposable. And I really feel that basically the ladies in this movie, with the exception of Gwyneth, are objectified. Granted, Tony's a playboy and everything, but yeah, that's a little bit of a beef with me. Also, I really felt that some of the news coverage or some of the business jargon, you know, could have been, we should have seen more of what was happening behind the scenes with, like, you know, the instability of Tony's decision to change, you know, Stark Industries from a defensive weapons company to a new direction, you know. But that could be for a later date. But, you know, awesome action, great performances, great special effects, and basically an awesome adaptation as well, which I will definitely get into in another video. Guys, all I gotta say, Iron Man is amazeballs. Agree? Disagree? Drop me a comment below. Give me a like. Follow me on Facebook at TokenDave or on Twitter at TokenDave80. Subscribe. Ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. And share these videos out and everything. But until then, this has been Token Dave, the dorky token black guy, just trying to get by. And welcome to the official 2018 start of the MCU franchise review.